UFO Survivor triggers terrifying phenomena. UFO survivors share shocking experiences in the Skinwalker Ranch. They were eager to learn what the next stage of their inquiry would entail. They were glad to be back and hoped for a more engaging tale this time. Not only does this ranch boast an intriguing environment, but its residents also have an inspiring backstory to share. The hunt for the Skinwalker is the source text. There's a whole chapter devoted to other hotspots that mentions a Colorado property. The book's plot involves a family and a string of mysterious occurrences, but the identities of its characters are never revealed. There are aliases and no place names that is being kept under wraps. That place was known as Rocky Mountain Ranch. The group made contact with Mufon, namely the Colorado chapter, whose leader is a woman named Katie Page. This is obviously a difficult puzzle to solve, and this further talks about how UFO Survivor triggers a terrifying phenomena. It turns out that Katie Page is a member of the ranch family and knows the whole story from personal experience. Clearly, she has lived a lot. At the ranch mentioned in the book, Katie herself became an experiencer when she was 9 years old. She put them in touch with the Aerial Phenomenon Research Organization, the forerunner of Mufon, and told them about a report they had never heard of before. Much of this behavior is detailed in the APRO study from the late 1970s, features a lot of the same weird stuff they've experienced on Skinwalker Ranch, and nobody seems to have seen this report. It was ignored by everyone. Until we met Katie, we had almost given up hope, but she brought it back to life. Katie has consented to accompany them back to the ranch because she realized she had never returned there before and is trying to piece together her own past. She hadn't been back to the house since she was perhaps 8 or 9 years old, maybe even 10. Another member of the team explained his history with the ranch. According to him, his mother met the ranch's owner while at work. Around that period, he was 9 to 12 years old, and he stayed at the ranch for a long time. Strange occurrences happened every time he and his sister visited the ranch. The overwhelming sensation he remembered was one of being uneasy and watched. The adults were gathered in the living room during the most terrifying night at the ranch. From what he could see, they were engaged in a round of board games. In his mind, it was already well into the night, and there he was, chilling out in the boys' bedroom with his sibling and 3 pals when they heard something like a hum, and that was it. And they understood that whenever that hum came, something was about to take place. This has put everyone on edge. As a result, events outside of the hum itself began to occur. Everyone is saying things like, "Oh, hold on, here we go." All the lights in the house flickered and went out simultaneously as the humming began. And at that instant, and it was like a window, like this, the light came streaming through that window, brighter than the sun. The whole world is in an uproar. It sounded like an electronic voice was spewing from every crevice in the house, and it essentially said, "We've let you stay." Absolutely terrifying. This has stuck with him and continues to have an impact on his life. That night at the ranch, he thought, I was connected to something, or so he thought. Katie, too, had a traumatic experience as a child. They couldn't believe she'd come back out here and face it squarely again. They recognized the woman's bravery, but also saw a glimpse of the terrified girl who had lived in her since she was 10 years old. The time has finally come. Katie was questioned regarding her time spent on the ranch. They would always hear hums and bangs underground, and she would never forget that night in the house and that humming sound. Therefore, if they are to accept it, they were just there before the hum started. A persistent buzz that the home's 30-year-long proprietors had never noticed before. I'll show you the precise spot where they were working on the original cistern. She recalled hearing noises, bangs, and other disturbances near the cistern on this floor. A hum, a maddening, long-term, frustrating sound, filled the space as they were taking readings and measurements, as if the hummers knew we had returned to investigate. Andy and Paul recruited engineer and ham radio specialist Jairus Doverspike to help test the theory that a phenomenon at Rocky Mountain Ranch is attempting to communicate with Katie and the team. Since they anticipated that the team would want to be able to transmit on the 1.6 gigahertz band, they provided the receiver. I, in turn, brought a transmitter. They used the 1.6 gigahertz frequency associated with extreme weirdness at Skinwalker Ranch to transmit their messages. A ham radio is the only device that can lawfully send a human voice at 1.6 gigahertz into space. However, they might take use of phenomena known as harmonics, which occurs when energy is transmitted at one frequency and then reflected back to it at every multiple of that frequency. This will allow them to make an echo, much like when someone shouts into a cave. That reverberation on the desired frequency. Yes, Katie and her family were at the ranch when they heard a broadcast through the stereo, which they had previously thought was off. So they were interested in doing all they could to induce such a signal so that they could detect it with this gear. And here was the actual location from which radio transmissions during the blackout were received. We're going to reenact that time and place. So they set up these antique AM radios and tuned them to what was essentially just static, an empty band and channel. The goal was to utilize numerous radios inside the house to listen for any strange sounds after they had broadcasted a voice at 1.6 gigahertz into the environment. They also set up a sensitive microphone next to the radios so that any response could be recorded and shown graphically. If the amplitudes of these signals begin to fluctuate noticeably, they will have evidence that something is being broadcast over the AM radio waves. In this episode, the team at Skinwalker Ranch explores a sequence of bizarre and unexplained events that occurred after a guy called Travis Taylor claimed to have had a close encounter with a UFO. These events occurred after Travis Taylor made his claim that he had seen a UFO up close. An overview of the past of Skinwalker Ranch, a location in Utah that has been linked to unexplained occurrences for a very long time, serves as the first segment of this episode. The group recently purchased the ranch with the intention of exploring and documenting the unusual occurrences that have been recorded there over the years. At the helm of the group is a real estate magnate by the name of Brandon Fugel. The following segment of the show introduces Travis Taylor, a scientist and former military contractor who claims to have had a near experience with a UFO while on a camping trip with his family. Taylor says the event occurred while he was with his family at a campground. Taylor claims that he looked up into the sky and saw a gigantic craft in the shape of a triangle floating above him. This craft then released a tremendous laser beam that knocked him out and caused him to pass out. He states that when he woke up, he was surrounded by weird beings, which he refers to as gray aliens. Taylor's claims have been met with skepticism from the crew at Skinwalker Ranch, but they have agreed to look into the location where the purported encounter took place anyhow. In an effort to verify Taylor's account of his encounters with extraterrestrial life and possible extraterrestrial craft, the team employs a wide range of scientific techniques to investigate the terrain, the air, and other aspects of the surrounding environment. During the course of their investigation, the crew begins to encounter a number of peculiar and unexplained incidents on their own. They report hearing peculiar noises, sensing vibrations in the earth, and observing brief, bright lights in the sky. They also come to the realization that part of their data has been corrupted and that some of their technology is operating improperly. Be sure to subscribe and turn on post notifications to be the first to know when the next post is up. The team does not give up and continues their investigation, and soon they find a sequence of bizarre symbols engraved into the earth close to where Taylor had her run-in. They are unable to read the symbols, so they can only surmise that they may be some type of message from the aliens. At the end of the episode, the crew is left without a clear understanding of what they have come upon, but they are resolved to carry on with their inquiry. They make a solemn oath that they will make use of science and technology to investigate the mysteries of Skinwalker Ranch and to record the unusual occurrences that continue to take place there. The episode UFO Survivor triggers terrifying phenomena is fascinating and spooky, and it will leave viewers thinking about the secrets of Skinwalker Ranch. Overall, the show has a good rating. It is admirable that the team is dedicated to conducting their investigations of the paranormal through scientific techniques, and it is likely that their determination to probe the unknown will inspire others. Shocking! Something unbelievable was discovered in the Oak Island treasure vault. Click on the next video to find out.